Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar hosted by Yapo and Shopify. Today's Retention Masterclass is focused on top strategies for strengthening customer relationships. My name is Katie McKeever, and I'm the Director of Product Marketing for our loyalty solution here at Yapo. I've been with Yapo for over 5 years and have spent the better part of my career on the customer success side, actually helping some of our most strategic brands implement our suite of solutions. And I'm joined today by Jamie Levy. Jamie, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm Jamie Levy. I head engagement and content across North America, and I work with some of the fastest growing brands on the platform, finding creative ways to share their story and connect them with each other.
Great. So hopefully everyone on today's webinar is familiar with both of our solutions, but just to provide a brief overview, Yapo is a e-commerce marketing platform. So we offer a whole suite of solutions, everything from user-generated solutions across reviews, visual, UGC, retention solutions with our loyalty and referral products, and lastly, engagement solutions with our most recently acquired SMS marketing tool. Jamie, you want to go ahead and just give a brief overview of Shopify?
Sure. We are the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow a business. We power millions of businesses worldwide and operate on a mission to make commerce better for everyone.
All right. So I think it's important before we dive into strategies for strengthening customer relationships, if we kind of set the scene and give context to what's been happening over the course of the last several years. So obviously we've invited Shopify to be a thought partner in how brands have been able to execute on this, because there's been this great exuberant e-commerce boom that has happened over the last couple of years. And Shopify's really been at the heart of that boom, empowering direct-to-consumer brands to launch and scale their business, really breaking down the barriers of what it takes to start a business and sell products online. So with this intense growth of D2C brands and there being so many more products they're offering, what we're finding is that this has created a great challenge for brands. It's now become much harder to not only acquire customers, but also to retain customers. We've seen, and I myself know as a consumer, I've been switching brands because I've never had so much choice with so many different brands really at fingertips. Can find just about anything very easily. And everyone has now shifted to this mentality of buying online versus that physical retail store experience being as common. So what we've seen is that with this rise of competition is that, of course, this has caused a huge increase in customer acquisition costs. It's become more competitive and brands are suffering with an over 60% rise in customer acquisition over the course of the last 6 years. As I mentioned, many customers are trying new brands. 35% of Americans have tried a new brand just in the past year. And what's clear is that brands need to double down and focus on retention. And it's much easier actually to sell to an existing customer than it is to acquire a new one. It's 14 times higher probability of selling to an existing customer than to a new customer. So what we're going to focus on today is really how brands can build customer relationships by leveraging opportunities to double down on advocacy and engagement. So what does this mean and how does this all come together is that brands need to focus on relationships. We've seen that building emotional connections is critical for brands to survive. It's now about brand experience, not as much brands competing over price and products. It is clear that customers care about the types of brands that they're buying from. And most recently, Yapo just did a customer survey, we do this every year, understanding customer sentiment and the state of brand loyalty. And what's interesting is that we found last year there was an increase in customers saying that they were more brand loyal. And the general trends we found from this year's survey is that customers are making it very clear brands need to earn their loyalty in order for them to stay and buy from them again and again. So some of the compelling stats just to call out is that 84% of customers are inclined to be loyal to brands who align with their own values. Customers are much more conscious of who they're buying from. I like to say that there's this big trend of customers or consumers are voting with their wallets of who they're choosing to buy from. Some other interesting stats are that 68% of customers want to shop direct from brands they're loyal to. So this is, of course, why we've seen this substantial growth in Shopify and the direct-to-consumer brands that are on the Shopify platform. And lastly, we see that customers are inclined to be loyal and to sign up for loyalty programs for those brands that they're loyal to, because they feel that they're getting a value exchange by signing up for those loyalty programs. So I've done a lot of talking. Jamie, I'd love for you to kind of share some of your thoughts of how you've seen this shift over the course of the last several years and how brands have really been doubling down on investing in this emotional connection.
I'm going to start from the last thing that you said. I think that it's really interesting that 65% of brands would sign up for a loyalty program. And when we think about brands being able to create these emotional connections and just actual genuine connections with their audience and their consumers, it's almost like the transaction might be the handshake, and signing up for a loyalty program is like making the next date. You know that you're going to continue to get, either emails or content or contacted by them in whatever way, and you're actually opting into it. I think, like you said, we vote with our dollars, and it is incredibly important that brands are not only more than a product and more than a price point, but that they're really opening up to the humans behind the brand. It was really interesting during COVID to see some founders at the very onset when things started to shut down. I think it was March and April of that year, there was a flurry of emails from brands within 1 or 2 weeks, just talking about how they were adjusting their offices or their workforce. And there were very few of those that actually stood out. And there was one brand spoke out of the UK, and the founder he basically was like, he's like, I'm a guy in my late 30s. I have a family. I don't know what I'm doing. And I was like, I'm a girl in my late 30s. I don't know what I'm doing, and it was not contrived at all. It was so human. And I felt like, it was like getting an email from a friend. And I did. It created a connection. I think being honest about what goes on behind the brand, obviously we want to paint a picture that, creating a brand is very easy, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And the brands that go beyond just showing the founder, which is incredibly important. But I think the brands that, there's a brand called Coco Kind, a skincare brand out of San Francisco, and they do an incredible job of bringing all of their employees to the forefront. They have their product demos are done by people in their office, by other employees. They do some great Q&As actually in the warehouse, talking to the people that run the behind the scenes of the logistics. And I think it really humanizes those brands, and you can really get a sense of what it's like, everything that's going on behind the emails and behind the actual product that you might be purchasing or considering to purchase.
Yeah, it's clear that consumers have just really changed. I mean, we all dramatically changed the way in which we interact with others and clearly what we care about. And it is so important to have that like humanized experience with brands. I know I felt very passionate, and there was a clear difference between brands that I was working closely with. Patagonia was one of the brands that I worked very closely with, and they just genuinely like invest in their mission and believe in it. And it's very great to see when all of the employees like really believe in the brand mission as well. And I think that that's something we've seen very clear in some of the examples you're talking about of, you know, people who are in the factory or some of the employees that are demoing the products that like they believe in the product that they're building, which is it's so important.
It's really interesting also as brands leverage, you know, their owned channels in order to introduce the rest of their team. And when you can see longevity and that, you know, people are loyal to the brand. I mean, you've been with Yapo for over 5 years. I've been with Shopify for almost 5 years. I think Patagonia is a great example. I mean, you can read all about Patagonia's mission. You can learn about, there's a book actually that that their founder has every employee read called Let My People Go Surfing, that just like speaks to the ethos behind, you know, how they operate as a corporation, but there's so much more than an organization that's really focused on creating sustainable, you know, and incredible goods. They also have like the repurposed angle of what they do. They donate. I mean, they're an amazing example of a B Corp. And so I think that it is so important that brands are able to tell more of who they are. And you can't do that on Amazon. I mean, I think a lot of consumers look at Amazon as almost, you know, a necessary evil. If you need something tomorrow, it's likely that you might need to purchase it from Amazon. And Amazon is it's an awesome channel for brands that are looking to, you know, increase word of mouth and distribution, but they don't own any of that messaging. And so in the avenues where brands can actually tell their own story and be more than a product and a price point, I think you have to take every opportunity, but be really authentic about it.
Yeah, I love that. Like really owning the experience end to end.
Yep.
All right. So let's get into some of the tactical things that for those brands listening, you know, we're talking about brands such as Patagonia, who have had the luxury of being around for years and years and really built a following. But what are some of the direct-to-consumer brands who are on the rise, as well as some of the larger brands doing today to build these customer relationships? And we're going to go through three primary pillars and tactics. But one main theme that we are seeing is leveraging loyalty programs, but leveraging loyalty to create emotional connections. So we'll talk about some of the tactics of how you can actually execute on brand engagement and encourage those types of behaviors via a loyalty program. We'll also talk about how you can, as a brand, create opportunities that let your customers speak for you. Spoken a lot about creating authentic experiences through the voice of your customer or the voice of your employees, but how can you also do that through the voice of your customers? And then lastly, the importance of personalized experiences and accomplishing that by connected experiences across channels. What we know today is customers have very high expectations, and if they feel emotionally invested in a brand, they want to feel recognized by that brand. And as brands know, that's sometimes difficult to execute on with privacy changes, et cetera. So we'll go through some tactical things of how you can ensure that no matter the channel the customer is engaging, that you are recognizing them and providing personalized experiences. Okay, so we'll dive in with building a loyalty program that drives emotional connections. So the most important thing for brands to focus on today when building a loyalty program is understanding that loyalty goes much beyond rewarding points and VIP for transactional purposes. You really need to find ways within loyalty program to encourage and motivate engagement-based behaviors, and how you can leverage the customer data that you can collect through loyalty. Because Jamie, to your point, it's, if a customer is signing up for loyalty, they're saying, I want to engage, and they're much more willing to share customer data about maybe their preferences, their birthday, they're logging in every time, they're signing up for all of the engagement channels, and they're raising their hand. But by that, brands must also execute on those personalized experiences that they expect in return. And yeah, so we'll get into some of the more tactical execution of those within loyalty. So one of the primary things you can focus on within the loyalty program is opening up the opportunities for ways customers can earn. So I ran the fashion vertical for a number of years, and can't tell you how many brands were saying, we're focused on sustainability. There's been a big movement towards sustainability, but it's a challenge to educate customers about that brand mission. So you need to find ways, and loyalty is a great way to, reward for reading a blog about your social mission. Finding ways you can allow customers to donate points towards a charitable cause that you stand behind as a brand. And as we've discussed, some of those more tactical engagement things, signing up for SMS, email, and ensuring that there is that customer engagement and that your brand stays top of mind. But Jamie, I'd love to hear from you of what are some of the best and most admirable brands, either that through Shopify or even just as a consumer, that have really created that emotional connection through a loyalty program?
I would be remiss to not mention Sephora. I am part of their loyalty program, and I think that they do an amazing job of not only having incredible perks and tiers as part of their loyalty program, but they also do a really good job of putting their consumers front and center. I think I've seen a lot of brands have success on the referrals piece, give your friend $20, put in your friend's email, give them $20. Then as soon as they make a purchase, you get $20. I think because it's becoming more common, I think brands can get really aggressive with the amount of money. If we know that CAC is higher than ever, and so if you're looking at lifetime value, I think it could really make waves if brands are increasing that amount. I think we've moved beyond traditional quizzes, and it can be really obvious when brands are having you do things just to check a box. And I think about Yelp reviews. Yeah, it's you leave us a Yelp review and you get 5% off or 10 or free nachos, whatever it is. And it seems forced. And so I just think that creativity is king here. It's why do they want me to do all these things? Obviously, they're trying to extend their customer base. But I think that there's a lot of different ways that people can do that. And it's almost by allowing your customers to be your brand ambassadors, whether it's explicitly through an affiliate model or otherwise. I think that that's been a really interesting way that some brands have kind of elevated that loyalty.
Yeah, absolutely. Having your customers be your best way of marketing through word of mouth is huge. I mean, anytime my friend tells me about a great bra or like a swimsuit, I'm buying it the next day. We even talked
Totally.
about leggings the last time we were together.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to hear about, what is the best product, and hearing that authentication and like credibility from people.
And it's
So
so important that brands like reinforce the fact that, their audience, their customers are not, it's not a transactional relationship. Like there's more after the purchase and, more to come. And so I look at it like that, and not just like, okay, you've purchased, how can you get more people to purchase?
yeah, absolutely. We'll get into in a second some really great brand examples. But before we move on from the concept of this emotional engagement and emphasizing brand mission, a really great, and I think my favorite loyalty program is a brand called Tentree. And Jamie, I think you said it best, with creativity is really key to creating different experiences. And Tentree has a very, very, I guess, experiential loyalty program that, as part of their brand mission, they are investing in planting trees. And it's not just about, read about our brand mission or feel good when you buy from us. They really are making customers feel and literally see the impact that they are providing on the earth by where they're planting the trees. So within the loyalty program, you have this, I guess, like view of where you're exactly in the world your tree has been planted. And then it's really cool that the brand at the end of the year can say, throughout the course of 365 days and however many loyalty members, we've been able to plant X amount of trees, so that customers are actually actively participating in the brand mission. This is what, like, I think is such a key differentiator, is that active participation. It's not just, oh, I feel good because I'm buying from a brand that, like, I know does good for the world, but I'm actually physically contributing to it, and I feel that more so. And I think Sephora is like the first example of, I think they're the first big loyalty program to start offering that donation of points versus using them for discounts where there's that active participation. So really interesting opportunities for brands to think about unique experiences they can create.
In addition, just to that Sephora piece, I know that you can donate points, and we've seen more and more brands offering that kind of option. But Subaru, when you buy or lease a Subaru, you get $250 toward, I don't know if it's your charity of choice or if there are like 10 to choose from, but I had two Subarus and like hat tip, best cars ever. But it, like, they're giving it to you so that you're making that donation, even, like it's in conjunction with Subaru. But you also know there is a certain number of charities that you can choose from, but there's like a breadth of them. There's like animal charities, there's, conservation, and you can see like what percentage of Subaru owners have selected each charity. And so you not only feel like you're part of something bigger and that, you're giving to this charity, but also like you're part of a group that has, selected this and chosen this. And I feel like it's a small token that allows people to feel part of something bigger and less of a transaction.
Yeah, perfect kind of segue into the concept, the second pillar, where we're talking about bringing brands and customers closer together. And one of the ways that is a great opportunity to do so is just having your customers be the voice of your brand. We've already talked about with referrals, how easy it is to just have customers speak on your behalf or for friends. Review content is a big part of that. I personally, I'm 4'11", so buying online is a nightmare for me, and I like need that validation of finding women similar to myself who have purchased the product, and I can validate like how it fits, because I can say the model in the photo most likely is not 4'11", so I need the authentic like customer experiences. And I think one of my favorite Shopify brands is Girlfriend Collective. So this is the unique referral experience where I can, if I refer you, you get a free pair of leggings. So it's like a very unique experience. It's not just discounts. Customers love free products, but they also are they're very authentic in their branding across the site. They have a lot of visual galleries that showcase their customers, you know, like there's moms wearing the products breastfeeding, there's women who are doing yoga, there are people who are just wearing leggings in their kitchen while they're cooking because it's COVID. So it's feeling like you can see yourself as a part of that brand, and being able to see the brand like in real life through the eyes of the customers. Really unique, and kind of feeling you can understand the community and who their customers are. If executed well, and leveraging these experiences on site.
Similarly, and another athletic apparel brand, Outdoor Voices does an awesome job of creating those opportunities for community. They have a number of events, like they'll have a meet at their store. I don't know how many stores they have now, probably 12 or 13. And they'll do like local hikes, or they'll do some sort of like environmental mission, but they'll send the email out, or they'll put it on the website, and it's like, meet it at this location Saturday at 10 a.m. We're going on a hike, whatever it is. And they're bringing their audience together. It's not for Outdoor Voices. They're not pushing product or anything. It's just like, hey, we know that you're a fan of this brand and she's a fan of this brand. Let's do something together. And I think when it's altruistic, you want to get your fans together. You want to be able to, have casual conversations about what they're doing. It might later inform the product. I think Glossier does a really good job of starting conversations on their own channels. At the very beginning, Emily Weiss was very forthcoming with like what they were thinking about planning. And it started some really interesting conversations, just even in Instagram comments. I think it's important for brands to take it beyond just an open question that just lives out in the wild. But you can start the dialogue and continue it without it just being like question answer, because again, we're trying to move away from those transactional relationships. Emily would ask things like, just in terms of prioritization, like, where should we focus our product efforts next? We're thinking about, another lip gloss, but we also might want to do a highlighter, which is more important or top of mind to you now. That a brand that I mentioned earlier, Coco Kind, they've also, Priscilla Chan, their founder, has done an incredible job of bringing the community along and really asking questions that help drive their product strategy, but by really taking into account what is important to their audience. I remember seeing a question that she posed that was, would you rather pay $1 more for 2 more ounces, or whatever the reverse was, $1 less for a smaller and travel friendly size, which like, that is amazing. I think about, like, everyone is looking for data and a lot of questions that you want to solve using, algorithms, but like, data's cool, but have you ever talked to your customers? Because it is amazing what you can learn. And I think that the brands that are really intentional about creating opportunities to bring their audience together, be it online, virtual or IRL, it's amazing. Even just like listening to the conversations that they have with each other, or watching, it's funny to see some people like go to bat for brands that they believe in so much, and they'll defend those brands without the brand even having to take part in the conversation. Also, another really good example is Rothy's. They have their Rothy's in the Wild hashtag, and it's created this incredible flood of user-generated content. And I mean, as consumers, sometimes it's fun to feel famous, and if you tag, your feet, Rothy's in the Wild, and then they end up putting it on their website or even, on Instagram, it's like, hey, that's me, I'm part of this. And it not only strengthens your connection, but if you're like me, you're probably going to send it to your parents and everyone that to be like, look at my affiliation with this brand and they're highlighting me. And I don't know, I think that it's an awesome example of putting your customers front and center and not just the models.
Yeah, and having been on the side of working directly with brands as they launch loyalty, one of their biggest concerns as a corporation is always like, okay, with a loyalty program, what types of rewards are we going to have to do? And everyone is, thinking about loyalty programs in the form of benefits and discounts. But when brands actually took the time to do customer surveys and ask, like, what's most important to you? Most often it was things that did not cost the brand a single dollar. It was community forums. It was being able to inform the next season of products, of product input, all things that greatly benefit the brand in return. One of my favorite examples, a brand that we'll talk about in a minute, is Princess Polly, who they're an Australian brand that is very, their demographic and target audience is Gen Z. And one of their VIP benefits is being featured on Instagram, that you'll be like the Princess Polly customer of the month. And they have tons of different events of like attend festivals with them. I think that they they have all of these experience embedded within their loyalty program in the form of benefits, which again, don't cost them as a brand anything at all. It's just featuring someone on Instagram and making them feel exclusive and special.
And that's it. It's feeling like you're getting something more by, your affiliation with the brand. I think it doesn't always have to have that monetary value. Even, an extended warranty can do wonders, or having, a special phone number that people can call. It doesn't only have to be traditional tiers that have things of monetary value. I think there's a lot of different ways. I mean, it's obviously contingent on the product and the type of organization that it is, but I would encourage any brand to think beyond the traditional and even ask your audience what they want. You can even build up to it. You can have them vote. People want to feel like they have a say. And this is like the beauty of D2C. It's that you can create these two-way conversations and ongoing conversations that allow people to have a say in the product and really in the organization and thank them, for that time, that energy, everything. And it does not always have to be a financial commitment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. All right, to close out on this pillar, just to provide kind of some tangible use cases of how brands have seen results from this, because that's always the question. Like, all right, I believe that, of course, this will create an emotional connection with customers, but how do I actually measure that? At the end of the day, as a marketer, you are going to have to be able to showcase that there's value in a loyalty program. And one of the key things that we believe in at Yahoo is the importance of tying loyalty with referrals, not just having them as standalone experiences. Like, you really need to be able to identify your top loyal VIP customers and be specifically segmenting and targeting them, asking them for those referrals. And we've seen that this really increases the overall ROI of those types of programs. So Ministry of Supply is one that in the first 6 months, when they combined the two programs together, their revenue from referrals doubled. So they saw 10 times higher engagement by just incorporating that referral program experience into the loyalty program. And 52% of their referrals came from their top tier customers. Like, obviously, those are the people who are buying the most products, they're brand obsessed. So it's just a matter of being able to leverage your loyalty data, reach out to them, and simply ask. To Jamie and my point, I think we've harped on, you just ask. You'd be surprised at what customers are willing to do to go the extra mile for you. All right, so the last pillar that we are going to discuss is really creating seamless experiences. So as I mentioned earlier, the customers really need to feel recognized, and they need to feel when they engage with your brand, no matter the channel, that they are being given personalized experiences. Like, I want to be landing on the site, or any sort of email that I'm getting from the brand is products that I'm genuinely interested in at the minimum. And at Yapo, we're really investing in, it's why we're building an e-commerce marketing platform. We're wanting to create these connected experiences for consumers, and we know how difficult that is for brands without a connected tech stack. So one of the strongest use cases that we're seeing is brands that are leveraging loyalty and SMS together, leveraging the loyalty data in this intimate channel, because again, loyalty customers are raising their hand that they want to participate. They're obviously committing to probably multiple and planning on multiple purchases with your brand. And they're the perfect audience for SMS, because SMS is more intimate. I know that I'm very careful about who I will, from a brand perspective, sign up for their SMS. Email, I'll try to get a quick discount maybe, and I might be tricked with some of their emails over the weekends when I'm browsing, but really careful about, like, it's top brands that I will engage on SMS. And some brands have really great experiences, again, of like collecting data. Some brands are using conversational SMS, like what categories are you interested? What type of skin do you have? And providing personalized experiences from there. So SMS is just a great channel for providing those elevated experiences. I don't know, Jamie, what are your thoughts of SMS and how you've seen the growth of this channel over the course of the last couple of years?
I think it can be a really powerful channel. I mean, what do we say at the beginning? Like, if going to a site is, a wave, and then a purchase is a handshake, and then signing up for the loyalty program is a hug. I mean, SMS is like you're getting engaged almost. Like, you are truly entering into an ongoing relationship with whatever the brand is. And I think brands that get it right get it. And those who don't are flailing. With great power comes great responsibility. And I think that having people's phone numbers and sending a text, you have to really have something compelling. It can be very different. You have no idea when you're going to catch these people, your audience in their day. They could be, at the vet putting their dog down, or they could be, at their child's preschool graduation. Like, you can't read the situation. And it's the same thing with email, but it's not as instantaneous. And that, for the most part, when our phones ding, we look at them. And so I think I would encourage every brand to think 3 times about that SMS, like their SMS strategy. And I have seen it done really well. There, a couple of years ago, I purchased a couple bras from Third Love, and their follow-up was incredible. And I remember getting an email your order arrived, let us know if you have any questions. And then maybe later that day or the next day, it was here's washing instructions. And then a couple days later, there was no reason for Third Love to text me other than they were like, hey, wanted to make sure that you're happy with your purchase. Did you need us to start a return? I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but it was like not in there. It was really making it so easy for me to say, you know what, I don't like this. And it stayed with me. I mean, this was years ago. And I think that that's an awesome example. I also think that conversational is so important, not just like blasting out an offer, because that's even less than transactional. It's just like, hey, you're one of however many. And so I think that it needs to be really important, and really targeted. Like if you look at iconic brands, they're not Apple's not texting me, and so
Sure.
I mean, I'm still thinking about Third Love a couple of years ago, and I'm not saying that brands shouldn't do it. I just would urge everyone to take off, your marketing hat for a minute and think about how you would receive it as a consumer and what the different situations might be. I don't even know. I mean, this is probably a question for Yapo, if you can even, only send during certain times of the day, or, ask people in advance, hey, you're opting into SMS. We want to limit, how we contact you.
What are your preferences? Yeah.
Yeah. But I also think like that's a great example. All brands are doing that, and everyone's trying to get the loyalty and keep, repeated customers. And so even beyond what are your preferences, like I think that there are different ways that you could engage in that conversation with your audience.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it is a bit about the type of brand who your audience is. Like, I don't think that my mother is going to necessarily be the target demographic to be texting with brands, although she is usually a sucker for a good sale. But
Same.
that's why I think brands do also have to think about who is their demographic, how engaged are they on this channel. And I mean, we're seeing a huge growth in the power of the Gen Z generation in terms of their spending power within the economy today, which does mean that there is great opportunity for brands to engage with this audience who is likely to love SMS. And I already mentioned Princess Polly, but I do think that they do, of course, their audience is perfect for it. But I think one of the key things that we talked about today with loyalty is like the exclusivity and the importance of timing. So when we talk about a lot of benefits that brands want to offer that don't cost anything, like early access to sales and getting something a day early is key. And this is like huge for Princess Polly, which is it's fast fashion. So when they do like an exclusive product drop with an influencer or a new season collection, their customers, and they know this about their customers again because they surveyed them, they want that early access, and SMS is the right channel to be able to tell somebody with that immediacy, like you can actually take advantage of this early access. I can't tell you how many times I have seen, oh, I had early access, but I didn't see that email in time. So SMS is the right channel for those types of messages, for example. And of course, like loyalty status updates, etc. I mean, Princess Polly
These
incredible.
numbers are insane. Like, these are mind blowing. Like you said, it is absolutely the right audience. And I've also, missed out on an opportunity if I was part of a program and, there was some limited time opportunity that I missed out on because I didn't see the email. I think it's a great example of something that a brand can use SMS for, not like ending tomorrow, but 5 more hours,
Yeah.
or even as it relates to, like making it to the next tier. I think that there are times when it would be appropriate to send an SMS, like as a reminder, you're $23 away from whatever the most amazing tier is. And that warrants an SMS. It's also very clear that it's personal. And, the frustration mounts when you know that you're just part of a blast, unless I too have been with my parents when they've like received SMS marketing or even an email and they're like, can they see me? And it's like, no, like you're part of a list of millions of people. And we do want to feel like it's personal. Princess Polly, everything from their website to, even calling their SMS channel group chat. It is so indicative and such a great, I don't know, their brand carries through so much in everything they do, from the tone of voice to the font even. It's just very consistent across all of the channels, and definitely their audience is one where SMS is more appropriate perhaps than others. But I also think there's an opportunity to look at SMS and even loyalty programs as an alternative to, like, I might be dating myself here, but there was a time, and there still is a decent amount of direct mail that's going on. And here we are, like, talking about the impact of that on our climate. And so we do have this opportunity to talk about these other channels in a way that helps us kind of offset some of the previous marketing channels that contributed to destroying the planet.
Definitely. Well, we've gone through so many things today. I think Princess Polly was kind of the perfect brand to finish with, and we've discussed everything from the importance of emotional connection and how you can do so with loyalty programs, the importance of the voice of your customer, creating authentic experiences, and then leveraging connected experiences in order to provide, personalized experiences that customers feel, prove the brand recognizes them and is invested in their two-way relationship. So thank you so much, Jamie, for your contribution. So many great examples that you shared throughout today. And obviously, as I mentioned, Shopify is at the heart of the growth of D2C brands. And just really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you.
All right. And unfortunately, because we talked so much, I don't think we have time for questions and answers. But please, if you have any questions about today's webinar, any of the topics that we discussed, please don't hesitate to email us.